Imagine a machine that runs forever without ever stopping. Sounds like the ultimate procrastinator's fantasy. Enter the legendary perpetual motion machine. The gadget that, much like my unfinished to-do list, keeps spinning endlessly but never actually gets anything done. For centuries, inventors, from overconfident tinkerers to full-time cranks, have been convinced they could outwit the universe. Perpetual motion, the only thing that moves faster than my deadlines. Then physics strolls in, arms crossed. The first and second laws of thermodynamics basically say, cute idea, but energy doesn't pop into existence, and some of it always slips away as heat. Historical claimants, Bhaskara with his magic wheel, or Firius and his mysteriously endless spinning drums, proclaimed triumph, while physics just yawned and kept its undefeated streak. Yet these eccentric engineers keep showing up, churning out breakthroughs, and a suspiciously large batch of late-night infomercials. The U.S. Patent Office has become a minor league for such hopeful hustles, some laughable, others just pitiful. The hype is truly perpetual, even if the motion isn't, because hope springs eternal, even when energy conservation insists otherwise. While the idea of creating eternal energy captivated inventors, others like Da Vinci dreamed of conquering the skies with flying machines. What if I told you the Renaissance's ultimate multi-hyphenate tried to one-up the Wright brothers by about 400 years? That's right. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just busy painting mysterious smiles and sketching suspiciously buff babies. No, Leo was obsessed with one thing, getting humans to fly. His answer? Ornithopters, bird-inspired contraptions that promised majestic flight. If you just flapped like you meant it, and didn't mind endless arm day at the gym. Here's where the myth takes off. Some folks claim Da Vinci's flying machine actually soared above Florence like a majestic, if utterly confused, pigeon. The reality? His designs flapped, all right. But so did his flight test results, mostly failing to lift off. Not a scrap of evidence shows any of his airborne gizmos left the ground. Even paper planes have a better takeoff record. Da Vinci understood lift, drag, and maybe don't crash, but crafting his machine from wood, cloth, and raw Renaissance ambition wasn't enough. Gravity, as it turns out, is a strict Italian mama, and those biceps? Better at dramatic gesturing than aviation. Still, though he never left the ground, unlike most urgent emails, Da Vinci gave future inventors wings, a brilliant reminder that flight is hard, but good ideas always take off. Building on visionary inventions, Tesla took technology to another level, attempting to manipulate natural forces like earthquakes. Picture a mad scientist in a Manhattan lab, rattling streetlights and giving landlords everywhere an existential crisis. Enter Nikola Tesla, inventor, showman, and the only guy whose lab gear doubled as questionable earthquake insurance. Spoiler, they weren't very good at it. Tesla's knack for eccentric gadgets was legendary. If it buzzed, sparked, or hummed, odds were Tesla had his fingerprints on it. His latest obsession? Resonance and vibration. Think of a tuning fork dialed up to earthquake mode, with Tesla dreaming of harnessing invisible frequencies to move, literally, the world. Armed with a mechanical oscillator roughly the size of a thick paperback, Tesla staged a now infamous New York experiment. Legend has it his machine nearly tore a building apart, sending police rushing in to break up this wild science party. Instead, they got a crash course in vibrations and witnessed Tesla smashing his gizmo before anyone could confiscate it. Classic Tesla, part inventor, part magician. Did his invention almost flatten Manhattan? Not quite. It made a ruckus, maybe rattled a few pipes, but Manhattan's skyline remained confidently upright. Still, the legend only grew, far outsizing Tesla's actual tremors. If his earthquake machine had truly worked as claimed, just imagine what havoc it could have wreaked on a bowl of Jell-O. Just as Tesla envisioned powerful machines shaking cities, ancient legends claim Archimedes used devices like death rays to defend his homeland. When Roman ships swarmed the shores of Syracuse, legend has it, Archimedes unleashed pure sunlight. Forget homework, this guy was the first pyromaniac with a purpose. The original STEM influencer, while others doodled in sand, he sketched plans to turn the Mediterranean into a slow-roasting buffet for unwelcome Roman guests. The tale says he wielded mirrors to focus the sun's rays, turning enemy ships into toasted marshmallows at a beach bonfire. Ancient storytellers loved picturing Romans sprinting for cover, cursing Greek geometry and seriously regretting their SPF ratings. But as dazzling as this myth shines, it's cloaked in the smoky haze of legend. Even when modern mythbusters and MIT students grabbed shiny shields, they ended up with more sunburns than shipwrecks. So why does the story stick? Credit the awe of science, hometown pride, and humanity's eternal fascination with setting stuff on fire. In truth, Archimedes' real arsenal included wild inventions like claw cranes and catapults, far less cinematic, but way more effective. Still, the dream of an ancient death ray keeps sizzling in pop science, comics, and let's face it, every daydreaming student wielding a magnifying glass on a sunny afternoon. From weapons of defense to alchemical wonders, humanity long pursued transforming substances, exemplified by the mythical philosopher's stone creating gold. Who wouldn't want a rock that turns trash into treasure? Literally. If the philosopher's stone were real, my library finds would be glimmering gold by now. Medieval alchemists obsessed over this legendary gadget, convinced it could turn cheap metals into gold, faster than you can say retirement fund. The stone's myth had a resume longer than a politician's promises: instant wealth, immortality, and, presumably, better hair. In reality, these alchemists spent less time basking in gold and more time mixing, muttering, and occasionally inventing new stains for their lab coats. Or the ceilings. Chemistry, being the ultimate party pooper, eventually made it clear: you can't just wave a magic rock and scramble lead atoms into gold. That's nuclear physics territory. And trust me, making gold with modern science costs more than buying the real thing in bulk. So what did the philosopher's stone really do? Not golden goose eggs, but it sparked centuries of curiosity and the occasional explosion. Today's scientists still chase the impossible, but metaphors work a lot better than melted lead. Because when it comes to lead, the only things you get are pencils and existential dread. While alchemists sought to create gold, inventors like Edison focused on tangible innovations such as lighting the world with the light bulb. Let's shed some light on Thomas Edison's most famous claim to fame, because if he'd really done it all alone, he'd have needed a lot more candles during those late-night prototype marathons. The popular story shines Edison as the lone genius who yanked the world out of darkness with one sweaty all-nighter. Picture it. Edison, hunched in his shadowy lab, suddenly flooding the room with brilliance, shouting, "Eureka!" and maybe even patenting the art of self-congratulation. But don't blow a fuse just yet. In reality, more than 20 inventors, including the bright sparks Humphrey Davy and Joseph Swan, were already tinkering with glowing filaments. Edison's real wattage came from dogged persistence and teamwork. He tweaked, tested, and, let's not forget, funded like a champ, making the bulb both long-lasting and market-ready. While his muckers buzzed around in caffeine-fueled swarms, Edison sprinted through the patent race, catching the public's eye. So that bright idea? Not a solo sprint. It was a global relay. Let there be light? Sure, just don't forget the crowded copyright line. Parallel to modern inventions like the light bulb, ancient technologies like the Antikythera mechanism reveal early computational ingenuity. Imagine stumbling upon a barnacle-encrusted gadget at the bottom of the sea that turns out to be the MacBook Pro of ancient Greece. That's exactly what happened in 1901, when sponge divers off the island of Antikythera hauled up a corroded chunk of bronze and wood. Initially, everyone figured they'd found Poseidon's paperweight. Fast forward through decades of squinting scientists, X-rays, and heated debates, and it turns out they'd uncovered the Antikythera mechanism, the world's oldest known analog computer, dating back to around 100 BCE. No word yet if it could run Doom, but this device predicted eclipses, charted planetary positions, and tracked Olympic Games with a dizzying array of over 30 intricate bronze gears, all while Greeks were supposedly more about togas than tech support. Think of it as the original calendar app, but way less likely to crash on December 31st. If this was their idea of a coffee machine, imagine the espresso. The Antikythera mechanism shines as proof that ancient geeks were centuries ahead of their time, forcing us to reboot our assumptions about old-school smarts. As mysterious as ancient machines, sensational claims like the Great Moon hoax captured public imagination in the 19th century. Picture this. You wake up to hear the moon isn't just a glowing rock, but a glittering playground where unicorns prance along sapphire beaches and man-bats flap about like the Batman reboot absolutely nobody asked for. Spoiler alert, unless you're living in a fairy tale or a particularly imaginative cheese commercial, the moon is not exactly a wildlife sanctuary, moon mermaids included. But back in 1835, the New York Sun knew how to rocket your morning coffee into orbit. A 6-part exposé claimed scientists had spotted all this lunar extravaganza through a souped-up telescope. Suddenly, the moon wasn't just a nightlight. It was a cosmic Las Vegas, minus the Elvis impersonators, thankfully. Telescopes flew off shelves, moon parties became the latest craze, and actual scientists clutched their slide rules in baffled horror. Meanwhile, Sir John Herschel, the real astronomer featured in the hoax, was chilling in South Africa, totally clueless. No Snapchat, no instant fact-checking. People swallowed every wild tale, stardust and all, until the sun finally gave a cheeky wink and confessed it was all fiction. The moral? Never trust a story with moon unicorns, and if someone tries to pitch you lunar beachfront property, just run. Fast. Following lunar fantasies came marvels like the Turk, a purported chess-playing robot that blurred lines between man and machine. Picture a world where robots didn't just vacuum floors, they checkmated Napoleon. Enter the Turk, the 18th century chess-playing automaton, less Roomba, more Houdini with a checkerboard. This wooden marvel charmed Europe's nobility and brainy types alike, whirring its gears through smoky salons and royal courts. Royals, scholars, even Benjamin Franklin, pre-bifocals, flocked to challenge it. Franklin lost, and rumor has it that's when he started inventing glasses sharp enough to spot a chess scam. Naturally, the Turk ignited fiery debates. Was machine intelligence real? Could a metal marionette outthink a human genius? Napoleon himself lost a game to it, arguably his best defeat compared to his Russian campaign. But the ultimate plot twist? The Turk was a box of tricks. Its masterstroke was hiding a hunched chess expert inside, enduring leg cramps rivaling a coach-class flight. When exposed, the Turk sparked disappointment mingled with awe, yet paved the path for every AI legend to come. Pawn to legacy indeed. After mechanical marvels entertained audiences, more sinister inventions like the automatic guillotine emerged, aiming for fail-safe executions. Picture this, a room full of politicians huddled, cooking up the most efficient way to whack people. Voila, the guillotine is born! Welcome to late 1700s France, where heads hit baskets faster than bakers churned out baguettes. Amid the chaos, the guillotine earned a reputation as the humane miracle chopper, gently promising painless justice. If you bought that, I've got a bridge over the Seine to sell you. The real brainstorm? Efficiency, reliability, and a splash of primetime spectacle. Why have a clumsy axeman swing 10 times when you could get a neatly sliced outcome faster than you can say French fries? Public executions quickly became the hottest ticket in town, albeit a tad more macabre than the opera. Enter Dr. Guillotin. He championed equality in death, hoping his invention might seem sympathetic? Irony alert. He ends up as the Grim Reaper's go-to tech consultant, yet manages to keep his own head firmly attached. Soon, the guillotine became France's official execution gadget, but reality wasn't quite so tidy. Rumors swirled about blinking heads, and less-than-perfect snips. Despite the occasional mess, the machine's legacy outlasted King's, inspired horror flicks, and wasn't finally retired until 1977. As they wisely said, don't lose your head. While machines enforced mortality, stories like Newton's apple offered a different illumination, inspiring groundbreaking science. Picture Newton, peacefully pondering under a tree, when, wham, an apple drops, forever changing science and snack time. The classic tale? Newton gets bonked squarely on the noggin, inventing gravity before dessert. If only every breakthrough involved flying fruit, maybe Einstein's theory of relativity sprang from a slapstick banana peel slip. But let's peel back the myth. Did the apple really clobber Newton's brain cells? Or did he just observe one falling and think deeply? Spoiler, Newton himself simply wrote about seeing an apple drop and pondering forces. No eyewitness accounts of a Newtonian concussion, just his reflections on apples, trees, and sudden sparks of insight. Gravity was already on the scientific menu before bruised fruit or bruised egos showed up. So why does the story stick? It's memorable, symbolic, and the perfect mix of slapstick and aha, even if apples still obey gravity every time your lunch falls. Newton, of course, did way more than snack on science. He codified gravity's math, paving the way for astronauts and skydivers alike. Apples, not just teacher's treats, but occasional world changers. From natural laws revealed by falling apples to mythical places like Atlantis, humanity's quest for lost knowledge continued. Did you know Plato invented the original underwater real estate bubble, with Atlantis as its poster child? Move over, Zillow. Atlantis set the gold standard for prime oceanfront property by vanishing without a trace. This legendary civilization supposedly boasted architecture so sleek even Poseidon would double-tap it, until it all decided to take an unscheduled deep dive. Alas, Plato cooked up Atlantis as an allegory for societal corruption, not as an invite to book a snorkeling excursion. But folks mistook his philosophy for a Lonely Planet guide and started hunting for their sunken dream home. Modern myths have turned Atlantis into the Sci-Fi Channel's fantasy buffet. Crystal-powered plants, UFO docking bays, and more gleaming towers than a Vegas slot machine. Actual ancient ruins? Not unless you count a few very hopeful, very soggy rocks. Yet every couple of years, explorers pop up claiming Atlantis is in the Mediterranean, Caribbean, or Antarctica. Pretty much anywhere but the land of reason. Science, however, points to earthquakes and tsunamis, not grumpy gods or apocalypse lasers, as the cause of any city sinking. Still, Atlantis keeps resurfacing thanks to pop culture, conspiracy podcasts, and those determined not to read Plato with their glasses on. Forget lost technology. What Atlantis really needed was a better PR manager. Beyond lost cities, practical myths arose such as cow magnets, believed to cure bovine ailments with almost magical effect. Ever seen a cow swallow a metal detector? No? Well, welcome to the utterly astonishing world of cow magnets, the unsung heroes of happy bovine bellies. Here's the kicker. Cows aren't exactly fine diners. While grazing, they accidentally chow down on all sorts of found objects, from bits of wire to rogue nails, serving up the rustic delicacy known as hardware disease. Spoiler alert, hardware disease means sharp metal poking holes inside cows. Ouch! Enter the cow magnet. Before you imagine a farmer in a lab coat hosting a bovine tea party with metallic hors d'oeuvres, relax. The magnet is simply slipped down the cow's throat with a special bolus gun. Once inside the stomach, don't try this at home, folks. The magnet cozies up, snagging stray metal bits before they can wreak havoc. Let's be clear, these magnets won't give cows superpowers, turn them into magnetic superheroes, or help them hold up family photos. If cows ever start channeling Magneto, it's definitely not on the farmer's watch. But in modern farming, cow magnets are still moving forward, evolving in shape and material to keep cows healthy and hardware-free. From miraculous cures to elemental forces, legends like Prometheus bringing fire symbolize humanity's mastery over nature. Long before gas lighters flicked and matches struck, one titan was literally lighting up the world. Enter Prometheus, mythological spark plug, self-appointed patron saint of campfires and early grill masters. According to ancient lore, the gods guarded fire like it was their secret Netflix password, leaving humankind to shiver, gnaw on raw mammoth, and accidentally invent sushi. Then came Prometheus, who boldly swiped a blazing torch from Mount Olympus, arguably starting history's first flame war. Sorry, cavemen, you're officially outcooked. But let's not overtoast the myth. Evidence suggests prehistoric humans probably tamed fire after a lucky lightning strike, and thanks to some curious ancestor with more guts than sense. It wasn't divine theft so much as accidental brilliance. Prehistoric pyromaniacs watching trees go up in flames and thinking, now that's cozy. Poor Prometheus, though, paid the price with an eternity of liver pecking, a punishment harsher than Smokey Bear's toughest lecture. Yet despite the legend's fiery drama, most ancient societies gave themselves the credit for kindling civilization. Now that's what you call truly home-cooked innovation. Imagining fire and power paved the way for futuristic dreams of ray guns and flying cars that seemed to arrive ahead of their time. Why did everyone in the 1950s assume we'd be commuting to work in spaceships and zapping each other with ray guns by now? Blame a heady mix of sci-fi B-movies, garish comic books, and world's fairs where robots waved hello and dinner came in pill form, at least according to the brochures. The future was a non-stop, shiny party. We'd glide through traffic in chrome-plated cars with wings, greet our domesticated androids after work, and pop a roast beef capsule to kill hunger. Ray guns? Standard issue. Say goodbye to the tyranny of water pistols. Reality, however, had other plans. The only things flying around most homes are rogue crumbs of toast, not family cars. Our robots are Roombas, not sassy maids armed with toolkits. And if meal pills actually existed, my pizza cravings clearly missed the memo. This techno-optimism was equal parts escapist daydream and Cold War confession, petting hopes for progress while nervously eyeing a metallic, uncertain age. Yet the obsession stuck. Retro future diners and Jetsons reruns still gleam with that shiny, metallic charm, promising a tomorrow even our smartest cars can't quite deliver. Hoverboards? Keep dreaming. Yet, alongside visions of technology's bright future, darker creations like medieval death wheels remind us of its destructive potential. Ever heard of the original Ferris wheel? It had less cotton candy and a lot more decapitation. Welcome to the grisly realm of the medieval death wheel. Imagine medieval Europe, a place with zero nightlife, no Netflix, and public executions as primetime entertainment. The death wheel, aka the breaking wheel, was basically Game of Thrones meets the world's worst spin class. But hold that image of a Mad Max-style battlefield wheel mowing down foes. Nope! Not a single knight was jousting on one side while grinding enemies into pulp on the other. The real deal? Brutal public punishment. Victims were tied to the wheel, then had their bones smashed one by agonizing one, a process famous for zero subtlety and even less mercy. Sometimes the poor soul was left up high, starring as the town's official bird buffet. The only thing these wheels spun was a new record for most traumatized peasants per square mile. Plopped in town squares, they shouted, "Break the law, get broken on the wheel." Thankfully, as justice got a makeover, the wheel stopped spinning torture. Today's Renaissance fairs have tastier treats and about 1 million times less femur smashing.